All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast. Now, a week and a half ago, the New York Mets had a tough task in front of them as they departed LaGuardia Airport. I bring this up because the Mets found themselves getting ready to prepare for a 10-game road trip, and the Mets have passed their road test. They went 7-3 on this road trip, and they have to feel good about their chances coming down the stretch here during the 2024 season. So we just saw the Mets sweep the Chicago White Sox today. Okay, to wrap up this road trip. Last week we saw them split a four-game set with the San Diego Padres while also taking two out of three from the Arizona Diamondbacks. And this was very significant. Why? Because both the Padres and Diamondbacks are not only ahead of them in the wild card standings in the National League, but both of these clubs have arguably been the two hottest teams in Major League Baseball since the All Star break. And the Mets were able to hold their own against them. So in 7 games against the Diamondbacks and Padres, New York was 4-3. You have to be happy with that. And then, of course, it was a must for the Mets to sweep the series with the White Sox. Not win the series, they had to sweep because we know that the White Sox are terrible. Okay. And the Mets were able to do that. I know that it wasn't pretty at times for the Mets this weekend, and I'm sure their fans probably would have liked uh, to have seen, or some of their fans would have liked to have seen those wins be more convincing. But nonetheless, the Mets got out of the Windy City with a 3-game sweep, and in the process, they outscored the White Sox during the series 12-4, which included today's 2-0 shutout. So the Mets now head back to the Big Apple. They are a season high 9 games over 500, and they're currently a game and a half behind the Atlanta Braves for the last wild card spot in the National League. The Braves, of course, are right now in action with the Philadelphia Phillies as I speak. And, Philadelphia already took two out of the first 3 games from this series, and the Mets and their fans are cheering for the Phillies right now. When was the last time you heard that? Okay. But nonetheless, if you're the Mets, you look at manager Carlos Mendoza, and like I've been saying for the past several months, this rookie manager does have his finger on the pulse of this team. Francisco Lindor clearly has been the Mets' best player this season. He continues to go out there and get the big hits for this club. We saw him today get the scoring started with that solo home run. We saw him come up with some big hits on this road trip, especially the home run earlier on this trip against the Arizona Diamondbacks. So you look at the Mets right now, and they still arguably have a very tough schedule ahead of them. They host the Boston Red Sox for 3, which begins tomorrow night. And of course, the Red Sox are trying to hang around in contention for the final wild card spot in the American League themselves. They host the Cincinnati Reds. You never know what you're going to get from the Reds. And then they're at the Toronto Blue Jays. Toronto's out of it right now, but this is still a very talented team that you got to keep your eye on. And right after the Mets leave Toronto, they go to Philadelphia to take on the first place Phillies. So you look at it like this: the Mets need to go out there and continue to handle their business. Yes. Another question is going to be: will the Padres and Diamondbacks cool off? I mean, it's possible because you look at it: Diamondbacks and Philly and um, pardon me, Padres have been playing some great baseball here in the second half. They've had lulls. They could have another lull, or they could just keep their foot on the gas. We got to wait and see. But nonetheless, if you're the Mets, you simply have to go out there and take care of your business. It's one of those where you could have looked at this going in and said, wow, the Mets are really up against it. But you know what? To their credit, they answered the bell. And I think they set the tone in game 1 of the series with San Diego when they got the 8-3 win. And they set the tone when they went to the desert to take on the Diamondbacks, and they got the 8-3 win in game 1 of that series as well. They set the tone in their first game of the series with the White Sox, where they jumped on them early and didn't look back. So again, like I said, if you're the Mets, you have to be happy with a 7-3 road trip. You want to try to build off of it. It's stretch run time. It's put up or shut up time. Okay, this is the last month of the regular season. Uh, uh, and we're going to see what this team is made of and if they're going to be able to play some baseball in October. You're looking at it right now. They're 73 and 64 coming into this season. I said, you know what, 85 wins might get you that final wild card spot in the National League. But looking at it right now, the way things are playing out, might take 88, might possibly take 90. But nonetheless, the Mets still have some work ahead of them, but they have put themselves in a position to remain in contention. That's the most important thing. Strong road trip by the Mets. Let's see if they can build off of that as they head back home. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank all of you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you haven't already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now you can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I'm signing off. And I'm saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.